All right. Get ready for a deep dive into a topic you guys have been really curious about: high conflict personalities.
Yep.
You sent in a bunch of stuff, a book excerpt,
Yeah.
a podcast episode,
Mm-hmm.
and even a YouTube interview
Huh.
with the author all about these HCPs and how much damage they can cause.
It's true.
Sounds like you're ready to become like HCP spotting ninjas.
I think that's a great goal.
Absolutely. And you know what?
Right.
You want the lowdown on the 5 major types
Yeah.
with super clear examples and some strategies that actually work without all the filler.
Absolutely.
We hear you.
Okay.
So let's lay the foundation first.
Okay.
What exactly makes a personality high conflict?
Well, it boils down to 4 key characteristics. All or nothing thinking.
Cool.
Difficulty managing emotions.
Uh-huh.
Constantly blaming others.
Right.
And engaging in some pretty extreme behaviors.
And we're not talking about someone who's just a little dramatic once in a while, right?
Right. It's a pattern of behavior.
Gotcha.
Not just a bad day here and there.
Makes sense.
It's consistent.
Okay, now the author you guys are interested in, Bill Eddy,
Yeah.
he's got this thing called the 90% rule,
He does, yeah.
which basically says if someone's doing something that 90% of people wouldn't do, that's a big red flag.
Huge.
Okay, so give me a visual here.
Okay, sure.
What kind of behavior are we talking about?
Imagine someone cutting in line at the airport.
Oh, no.
Not just like, excuse me, but demanding to be first.
Right.
And then throwing a tantrum if anyone even looks at them sideways.
Although I can picture it.
Or how about someone giving those super intense, like
Right.
overly familiar hugs to complete strangers?
Yeah, that's a bit much.
Definitely crossing a line.
All right, so how do those kinds of behaviors connect to those 5 HCP types?
Good question.
Let's break them down, starting with the narcissistic HCP.
Okay.
What's their deal?
They need to feel superior. They crave admiration,
Mm-hmm.
lack empathy, and really have to be in control.
Right.
Think Lance Armstrong. Remember how he reacted to the doping accusations?
I do.
Total denial and attacking anyone who dared to question him
Wow.
instead of taking any responsibility. It's that fragile ego.
Yeah.
They can't handle being anything less than perfect.
Okay, so it's not just confidence. It's like this inflated sense of self-importance.
Exactly.
And that leads to trying to control and manipulate everyone around them.
Exactly.
Okay, what about the borderline HCP?
Okay.
How do their traits play out in real life?
So their world is all about relationships.
Okay.
But they're intense,
Yeah.
unstable.
Oh.
They crave closeness but are terrified of being abandoned.
Uh-huh.
They'll go back and forth between putting someone on a pedestal and then tearing them down.
Oh, wow.
Eddie has this example on the podcast of a couple, Tom and Kara.
Okay.
She was super charismatic,
Uh-huh.
pushing for marriage after only 2 months.
Whoa, that's fast.
But then 3 years later, she completely flipped,
Really?
using false accusations and playing all these mind games to basically destroy his life.
2 months to I do, and then that.
It's a whirlwind.
It really is.
So it shows how quickly that intensity can turn toxic.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to the antisocial HCP.
Okay.
It sounded a little scary.
Think con artists.
Oh, right.
Totally disregard the rules.
Yeah.
Exploit others.
Uh-huh.
Zero remorse.
So they can function in society, but leave a trail of victims behind.
Yep. The podcast talks about this guy named Paul,
'Kay.
ex-con, super charming.
Mm.
He weaseled his way into this church community.
Oh, no.
Then he conned a bunch of people out of money with this made-up sob story.
Oh, wow.
It's chilling because they really lack a conscience.
Yeah.
And they're so good at getting people to trust them.
That's awful using a church like that.
It's hard to believe.
Okay, what about the paranoid HCP?
Okay.
They're suspicious of everyone, right?
Right. They see conspiracies everywhere,
Huh.
always looking for hidden motives. Like they're under constant threat.
Eddie mentions this case of Albert Lassiter.
Right.
He was a deputy marshal,
Right.
became totally fixated on his neighbor,
Yeah.
convinced there was a burglary plot against him, armed himself, refused to leave his house,
Yeah.
even called the cops on the guy,
Multiple times.
thinking he was going to be murdered.
It's scary how even when there was evidence to the contrary, we
Right.
just wouldn't let go of those delusions.
That's terrifying. All right, last but not least, the histrionic HCP.
Okay.
What makes them tick?
Attention. That's their oxygen.
Right.
Super dramatic,
Yeah.
emotionally expressive,
Ah.
and they're masters of exaggeration.
Eddie talks about this mom in the YouTube interview.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
She falsely accused her own daughter of murder.
I know, it's crazy.
just to get sympathy and attention.
Yeah, it's like their whole world is a stage.
Right.
Everyone else is just playing a supporting role.
And they need to be the star of the show.
Exactly.
So we've met all 5 HCP types. Quite a crew.
They are, and recognizing their individual patterns, that's the first step to dealing with them effectively.
Absolutely. We'll talk about those strategies next
That's
time.
right. We'll give you the tools you need to navigate these personalities and protect yourself.
Because let's face it,
Yeah.
HCPs can create chaos,
They can.
and we're here to help you stay out of it.
Exactly. Welcome back. So we've identified those 5 HCP types, and now let's get you guys ready for those encounters because they are going to happen.
There we go.
We're not talking about changing these people.
Right.
This is about you protecting yourself.
All right. Well, I am all for less drama.
Yes.
So in the book, Eddy talks about this CARS method.
Yes, the CARS method.
Could you break that down for us? It seems like a pretty good roadmap.
Yeah. Think of it like a toolkit.
Okay.
CARS stands for connect, analyze, respond, and set limits.
Okay. Sounds good.
It's a step-by-step approach to dealing with these HCPs.
All right. So let's take it from the top.
Sure.
Connect with an HCP.
Yeah.
That seems kind of counterintuitive, right?
It does, yeah.
Given how challenging they can be.
Yeah, it's not about becoming best friends or getting sucked into their drama.
Right.
It's about approaching them with a sense of empathy and respect,
Okay.
even if you don't agree with what they're doing.
So it's more about de-escalating the situation
Exactly.
than actually like validating they're crazy.
Right.
How would I actually do that?
Simple things.
Okay.
Like acknowledging their feelings.
Mm,
You could say something like, I understand you're frustrated.
gotcha.
Or tell me more about what happened.
Right.
This shows that you're listening,
Yeah.
which can sometimes be enough to calm things down.
Okay, so active listening.
Yes, very important.
Got it. What about the next step? Analyze.
Okay, so analyze is all about giving them a sense of control.
Oh, sure.
They're offering choices and options, even small ones,
Oh.
which is something that HCPs really crave.
Right, because they're always trying to control everything.
Exactly.
Okay, so instead of just telling what to do,
Yeah.
I give them like a limited set of options.
Precisely.
Okay, I can see how that would work.
Like, let's say an HCP is demanding immediate attention.
Okay.
You could say something like, I can give you 5 minutes now, or we can schedule an hour next week to discuss this further.
Right.
What works best for you?
I like it.
You're setting boundaries,
Yeah.
but you're giving them that illusion of control.
Okay, cool.
It can make a big difference.
What about respond?
Okay, so respond is all about addressing any misinformation
Uh-huh.
or hostility with facts,
Okay.
not with emotion.
Gotcha.
Don't get defensive or argue.
Yeah, that just makes things worse.
Always.
Okay, so if they're twisting the truth,
Yeah.
I just state the facts calmly
Right.
and disengage.
Exactly.
All right, I can do that.
Short, sweet, to the point.
Don't give them any ammunition.
Exactly.
Okay, and then the final step, and probably the most important,
Yes.
set limits.
This is where you draw that line in the sand. Calmly and clearly outline what behaviors are not acceptable
Wow.
and what the consequences will be if those lines are crossed.
So I got to be super specific about what I won't tolerate.
Yes.
And what will happen if they don't respect those boundaries.
Precisely, for instance. I won't tolerate being yelled at. If you raise your voice again, I'm ending this conversation.
Got it.
Or, I'm happy to help, but I won't lie for you. If you ask me to do that again, I'll have to report it.
Okay, so clear, concise, and firm.
Yes.
No room for misinterpretation.
Exactly.
This CARS method seems really solid.
It is.
But what about the people who are around the HCP?
Oh, yeah.
Eddy talks about these negative advocates, right?
Yes. Unfortunately, they're out there.
Are these the folks that kind of enable the HCP's behavior?
Yes, intentionally or not.
Okay, family, friends?
Family?
Friends?
Yep. Even colleagues.
Yep. All of the above.
So it's like a whole ecosystem of dysfunction
It can be. Yeah,
that complicates things.
it really does.
So they might defend the HCP.
Join in on the blame game
Yes.
or downplay your concerns.
Absolutely. It can be so frustrating.
What's the best way to handle these negative advocates?
Honestly, I don't think reasoning with them is going to get you very far.
You're probably right.
What you can do
Yeah.
is set boundaries with them too.
Hmm.
Similar to how you would with the HCP.
Got it.
You could say something like, I respect your opinion, but I'm not willing to discuss this with you anymore.
Okay, clear boundaries are key.
Always.
What about when you're on the receiving end of that HCP blame?
Yeah.
Those attacks can be pretty brutal.
They can really mess with your head.
They do.
Yeah.
How do you deal with the emotional fallout?
You need positive advocates.
Yeah.
These are the people who support you,
Yeah.
give you objective perspectives,
Right.
and help you see the situation clearly.
So we need our own cheer squad
You got it.
to counteract all the negative energy.
Exactly.
Where do I find these awesome positive advocates?
Therapists,
Okay.
trusted friends, support groups.
What?
You know, anyone who really understands HCP dynamics
Right.
and can offer some solid guidance and encouragement.
Gotcha. Building a support system is key
It's essential.
for both practical advice and for, like, emotional resilience.
Absolutely.
Any tips for finding the right professionals, like a therapist who really gets it?
Don't be afraid to interview them.
Oh, interesting.
Ask specific questions
Okay.
to gauge their experience with HCPs. You want to make sure they're a good fit.
So it's like a job interview for my mental health.
Pretty much.
I like that.
You want to ask things like, how much experience do you have working with people who exhibit high conflict behaviors?
Gotcha.
Or have you ever treated someone who was the target of a high conflict individual?
Okay.
And you want to know if they're familiar with the different HCP types?
Right.
You're not just looking for someone who understands the theory.
Right.
You want real world experience.
Makes sense. What about legal matters?
Yes.
Some of this HCP stuff sounds like it could have some serious legal ramifications.
Yeah. Absolutely. If you need legal counsel,
Yeah.
finding a lawyer who understands high conflict personalities is crucial. They'll know how to navigate the legal system and not get caught in the HCP's web of manipulation.
Okay, so again, being upfront about the situation.
Yes.
Asking specific questions.
Yes, absolutely.
Making sure they're the right fit.
That's crucial.
Right. I need someone who knows how to handle these types
Exactly.
and can protect my rights effectively.
You got it.
Wow. I'm feeling a lot more empowered already.
I'm glad.
And building that team of positive advocates is so important.
It is.
Before we wrap up this section,
Yeah.
any final thoughts on navigating these tricky HCP waters?
Seeking help is not a sign of weakness.
I agree.
It's a sign of strength.
Absolutely.
Don't let shame or fear stop you from reaching out for the support you need and deserve.
I love that.
Building that strong support system is key
Yeah.
to reclaiming your power,
Right.
creating a more balanced life.
Well said. Okay, we covered a lot.
We did.
We talked about the CARS method,
Yeah.
negative advocates,
Uh-huh.
positive advocates.
The importance of building that team.
Absolutely.
Next, we're going to dive into a theory that might explain
Yeah.
why these personalities exist at all.
I love this part.
This is where it gets really fascinating.
I think so too.
The HCP theory
Huh?
offers a totally new perspective.
It might change the way you look at these personalities completely.
All right, so we've gone deep on those 5 HCP types, and we've got some tools now to deal with them. But what about the bigger question, why do these personalities even exist? In what you said, there's this HCP theory, right, that dives into the why, like the origin story.
Yeah. Bill Eddy suggests that the stuff we see as so messed up with HCPs,
Right.
it might have actually been, get this, advantageous way back when.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that aggression and dominance and zero empathy were helpful for our ancestors?
Think about it.
Okay.
A world full of predators,
Uh-huh.
rival tribes,
Right.
harsh environments, the whole bit.
Okay. Yeah. Being super assertive, reacting quickly,
Yeah.
maybe a little ruthless.
Right.
Could have been the difference between life and death back then.
So these traits were kind of like built-in survival mechanisms.
Exactly.
But why are they such a problem now?
The world's changed a lot,
Yeah.
but our brains haven't always kept up.
Makes sense.
The same traits that were awesome for cavemen
Uh-huh.
can be a disaster in today's world.
It's like they're running on outdated software, reacting to threats that aren't even real anymore.
Right.
So is modern society actually making this worse?
That's a really good question.
Right.
Eddy looks at stuff like social isolation, that constant stream of bad news,
Okay.
social media, which, yeah, connects us,
Yeah.
but also breeds comparison,
Right.
judgment, conflict.
So it's like we're overloaded with info,
It is.
and it triggers those primal instincts.
Absolutely.
So what can we do, both for ourselves and for society?
Eddy says genuine connection is huge.
Okay.
Face-to-face, real relationships.
Right. Not just online.
Exactly. Mindfulness, too, to manage those emotions.
Mm.
And being careful about the media we consume.
Less doom scrolling.
Way less. Seek out the good stuff, the positive stuff.
It's about creating a healthy environment,
It is.
both for individuals and for everyone.
Exactly. A world where we don't need to be so defensive.
This HCP theory has been eye-opening.
I agree.
It's not about excusing bad behavior,
No, not at all.
but it helps me understand what's going on.
It's about recognizing that they might be struggling with stuff we don't even see.
That's a good point.
We protect ourselves,
Right.
but we can also have compassion.
Even if we keep our distance.
Exactly.
Well, we've come a long way. From spotting those 5 types to actual strategies, and now this whole evolutionary psychology angle, I feel equipped.
That's great to hear.
What are the key takeaways you want our listeners to remember?
Knowledge is power.
Yes.
Knowing the patterns means you're less likely to get caught in the trap.
Okay, good one.
Second, it's not about labeling everyone.
Right?
It's about seeing the red flags
Yeah.
and adjusting how you interact.
And finally, that support system.
Absolutely crucial for
Yeah.
navigating these tough relationships.
Right.
And feeling empowered.
Remember the CARS method.
Connect, analyze, respond, set limits.
Reach out to those positive advocates. Set those boundaries.
You got this.
Awesome advice. This deep dive has been truly amazing. We've taken those HCPs and made them a little less scary, right? You guys have got the knowledge and the strategies now to deal with them confidently. And remember, you're not alone in this. We've got all those helpful resources in the show notes. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those boundaries strong.